Hey, hi! Welcome and welcome back to She Shines and Thrives. In today's video, I'm going to continue on with my review and or final thoughts on the group of palettes that I decided to leave behind when I was preparing to evacuate for the Los Angeles fires earlier in 2025. I rolled in 6 new palettes in my last video, but for the sake of keeping things concise, I am going to be reviewing 3 of those palettes, or giving my final review on 3 of those palettes, and then the remaining 3 will be in my next video, part 2. So, without further ado, let's get it. All right. Now that we're here, I have an update on a palette that I was undecided on, and that palette was the Pat McGrath Labs Rose Decadent. I was hemming and hawing because I was like, I have colors like that, maybe, and let me just tell you, I played with this palette and played with this palette, and I'm so in love. Like, I'm not getting rid of this Pat McGrath Labs palette. So starting it off strong, maybe not so strong, depending on how you look at it, I'm keeping the Pat McGrath Labs Rose Decadence palette. So we can put that to bed and let's continue on with the next 3. So the 3 palettes that I'm going to be giving a final decision on today are the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions, the Petit Tyrian by Viseart, and the Mini Lila palette by Natasha Denona. Let's start with Huda Beauty. Oh my gosh, this 9-pan palette is just amazing. Every single time that I've used it, I've come up with a different look. The colors are vibrant and they pack a punch. Only with using a shadow primer. I don't have to use a glitter primer or any other crazy addition, just a regular eyeshadow primer, put those on, have my little colors, one and done. This palette blew my mind, and I am so happy that I gave it another chance, because the looks that I have, which I'll show somewhere on the screen of the looks that I've done, were just, I love them. So I'm happy to say that for my final review of the Huda Beauty Amethyst Obsessions palette, I'm gonna hold on to it. The only thing that I have to say about the palette is it does not have shade names inside the palette. I didn't even look at the back, because sometimes when you flip over the palette to the back, you can't really tell which eyeshadow name corresponds with which like square in the palette. So that would be my only thing, is we needed a name or maybe a number or something just to indicate which colors are which. But I'm not being picky. It's beautiful. I've had it for quite a long time and the shadows are still like rocking. So needless to say, that is staying in my collection. Now moving on to Viseart Petit Tyrian palette. When I first saw this palette, it's a 4 shadow palette, which is very petite 4. And I love purple. I love the way that it looks just with my skin tone and my brown eyes. And so I just knew that I would fall in love with this palette. Well, there are 2 colors in the palette that I really, really enjoy, which are the deep dark purple. I don't know if that's purple. It's not a plum, but it's like a really deep aubergine, I guess maybe the color is called. And again, these don't have names inside the palette for the colors either, so I'm just winging it here. And then there's the other lighter matte color that's like a soft, like flesh pink. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I'll put a picture up so you guys can see which ones I'm talking about. Those 2 colors, fantastic. The other 2 colors, not so much. And what really disappointed me with this palette is the color that I was really looking forward to playing with was the shimmer purple color that's in there. And it just did not do what I was hoping it would do. It came off more gray than it did purple. And so it really didn't make the darker aubergine color pop. It just kind of blended all together in sort of a gray, muddy, dark mess. So, needless to say, I am not going to keep the whole palette. The two colors that I previously mentioned, which was the dark purple and the matte sort of fleshy pink color, I'm going to remove those and put those with my singles because those, they hit the spot. So the final palette that I'm going to review and give final thoughts on today is the Natasha Denona Mini Lila palette. I bought this palette because I was unfamiliar with Natasha Denona and I didn't want to spend 60 or 100 and what is it now? It's over $100 for a palette that I wasn't really sure if the quality was something that would vibe with me, if I could work with the shades, the colors, the different, mattes, shimmers, multi-chromes type of thing. So I dove into this mini palette, which is a 5-pan palette. And the main reason I bought this palette was because there's that sparkly shade that has like the blue and the purple and like green and like, it is just beautiful. And as a matter of fact, I'm wearing that palette today. So on the outer corner is where that blue sparkly color is. May not be sparkling on my eyes, but it still gives that blue iridescent purple sort of look. And I have to say, I was not sure what I was going to do with just 5 colors, and they seem to be so not cohesive, or like I just wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. I just knew I was going to get this palette for that one color and I was going to make it work. Well, I'm happy to say that I made it work. I used a one and done. I used a shimmer shadow over the lid, and no matter what combination I came up with, these shadows perform. These shadows came out exactly what I was thinking about, and I am just jazzed that I decided to take a chance on this palette. So, as you probably know, I'm going to keep this palette and it's going to stay in my collection. All right, so that wraps it up for the first 3 palettes that I'm going to be reviewing for the Left Behind series. And keep shining and thriving. Until next time.